Hi everyone. So today we're going to be looking at how you divide decimals. So we have an example of two decimal numbers that need to be divided. And we know how to divide whole numbers, so we have to figure out what to do when there are decimals. So 0.88 divided by 1.6. The first thing we have to do is set this up as like a long division problem. So we want to rewrite the division problem using the symbol for division, which we know is this little box looking thing. So how to figure out where the numbers go, we say remember FILO, which stands for first in, last out. And we like this because it kind of reminds us of Tybo, top in, bottom out. It works for division as well. So the first number goes inside the house, so 0.88 goes in here. And the second number, the last one, goes outside the house, the 1.6. Again, I know how to divide when there's no decimals, but today we're figuring out what to do when there is a decimal. Well, for this next part, you're going to remember, so first we learned FILO, first in, last out. Now we have to remember something else. The fox chases the rabbit. And what that means is you're going to move the decimal point in the divisor and the dividend until the divisor is a whole number. So what we want to do is we're going to get rid of this number that has a decimal. All right, so this number is our divisor. We want to move that decimal over so that it's not a decimal number anymore. It's a whole number. Now, if I do that, if I move it over here, then I have to move it over here at the same time because I don't want to change I can't just take a decimal away without changing something else. All right, so whatever I do on this side, kind of like with fractions, when you simplify fractions, we'll see that in a couple of days. Whatever you do to this side, you have to do to this side too. And so we kind of pretend we do this little story where if this is a fox and this is a rabbit, okay, and if the fox runs this way, the rabbit's not going to sit there. He's going to run away too. So I'm going to move it. If I move it once here, then I have to move it once here as well. All right. And then, because it's a rabbit, it can jump, right? So if it's trying to get rid of the fox, so the fox is going to stop when it gets to we'll call that a fence. So the fox runs over, he can see the rabbit through the fence, but he's got to stop when he gets to the fence. Okay, the rabbit runs away from the fox, and then it's smart, so it jumps up so that it can stay even further away from the fox. So we're going to, after we move the decimal over in our dividend, we're going to put it up here because that's where the decimal is going to go in our quotient. All right, so after we move it, we're going to place the decimal point in the quotient. And then the last step is to rewrite the new division problem before dividing. Okay, so we've moved it over, but this is a little confusing up here. We want to make it neater so that we can actually do the division. So I'm going to rewrite it down at the bottom. And so my new problem, when I moved it over, this became a 16. And now instead of 0.88, I have, and I can drop that 0. I don't need it anymore, 8.8. All right, so the decimal we said in our quotient is going to move straight up. And it's real important with division and multiplication, actually adding, subtracting to get everything lined up. So try to write neatly. So now I need to divide 16 into 8. Can I do that? No, you can put a 0 here. My decimal has come up. And now I'm going to ignore the decimal here and just say, all right, how many times do I think 16 will go into 88? Well, I'm just going to guess. I know that 16 is close to 20. 88, 80, I know that there are about 4 20s and 88, but this is a little less than 20, so I might try 5. I'm not sure. On scratch paper somewhere you can multiply. 6 times 5 is 30, carry your 3. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8. Okay, so that's close enough. So I'm going to put the 5, because there are 5 16s that will go into 88, and then I multiply. 5 times 16 we said was 80, line it up. And when I subtract, I get 8. Notice I'm not bringing down the decimal because I've ignored it. It moves up, so I don't need it anymore. In fact, if you want to, you can draw a little line, an arrow there. Okay. Now I have a remainder, and because this is a decimal, I want to keep on going. So I'm going to add a 0, bring it down, And then 16 will go into 80. Well, we know, we just figured it out 5 times. So the 5 goes up here. 5 times 16 is 80. When I subtract, I have nothing, so I can stop. So the answer to 0.88 divided by 1.6 is 0.55. Okay? We're going to circle our answer. All right, so let's look at a few more. 2.64 divided by 0.6. First step is just setting it up. So I'm going to draw my division box. It's first in, so this is 2.64 goes in first. Last out, 0.6. And then I remember fox chases the rabbit. So this is my fox. He's going to move 1 space before he hits the wall. The rabbit's going to move 1 space and then what? Jump. All right, so then the next step is to rewrite the problem. I always want to do that before dividing. It's just way less confusing. So this is now a 6 on the outside. And on the inside, instead of 2.64, it's now 26.4. Okay, I know my decimal's jumping up. It's moving up here, so it's not here anymore. 6 will go into 20, it won't go into 2, it will go into 26 4 times. 4 times 6 is 24. When I subtract, I get 2, and I'm going to bring down the 4. 6 will go into 24 4 times, okay? Because I brought down the 4, I'm going to put this new 4 above the 4 on the right of the decimal here. So 4 times 6 is 24. And then I'm done. Okay, so the answer is 4.4. Let's look again. Now, notice they'll throw in positive and negatives sometimes. So you're just going to have to remember those rules for integers. They apply to decimals as well. And so what I want to do is I want to divide like normally. So I'm going to figure out my sign first, and then I don't have to worry about it. I have a positive number divided by a negative. So when you have a positive and a negative and you're dividing, is your answer going to be negative or positive? Well, again, use that little guy, sleeping man. It works for multiplying and dividing. So when I have a positive and a negative, my answer is negative. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down, and then I don't have to worry about it. I know my answer will be negative. Set up your problem. So the first step is to draw the box, the division box. It's first in. So this first number, 0.009, goes in. Last out, 0.18 goes out. All right, and I dropped the negative because I've already taken care of it. All right, now it's fox chases rabbit. So this time the fox moves 2 places before it hits the wall. So the rabbit also has to move 2 places before it stops and jumps. So rewrite your problem, just clean it up. This is now an 18, and this is now, where's your decimal? It's right here in front of the 9, so 0.9, and the decimal's up here. All right, does 18 go into 9? No. So you need to write a 0 here to remind yourself it did not go into 9. In fact, you can go ahead and multiply it if you want to. 18 times 0 is 0, and you get 9, and now you do what? Now you can bring down a 0. 18 will go into 90. All right, we might just have to guess, but again, 18 is pretty close to 20. 20 might go into 90. I don't know. You have to just guess. I'm going to try 5. 18 times 5 is 40. Carry your 4. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 4 is 90. All right, perfect. So I'm going to put the 5 above the 0 because that was the last number I dropped down. 5 times 18 is 90. When I subtract, I have no remainder, so my answer is 0.05. It's actually negative 0.05. because I had a positive and a negative. If you would like to write a 0 in front of the decimal point, you can. It's the same either way. All right, last problem, -6 divided by 0.24. So I'm going to take care of the signs again. I have a negative and a positive, a negative and a positive. So when I have a negative and a positive, my answer is negative. So I'm going to take care of that. And then I'm going to set it up. First in, last out. First in, last out. 0.024. All right, so I'm ready to move my fox. And I can see he's going to move over 1, 2, 3 places before he hits the wall, hits the fence. All right, now over here, there is no decimal, right? At least it's not written down. So we talked about this when we were multiplying. What happens, or where do you put the decimal? I guess we talked about it when we were adding and subtracting, actually. You don't put the decimal in front of the 6 because that would be like changing 6 wholes to 6/10 or $6 to 60 cents. That's not right. So you always put the decimal behind the whole number. All right, and then I need to move it 1, 2, 3 places. So I need to move it here, 1, 2, 3 places. And what do you think we're going to put in there? If you said zeros, you're right. So I'm going to use zeros as placeholders and move it over 3 places. So my new problem now is 24 on the outside and 6,000 on the inside. And then it's just a regular division problem. Can't divide 24 into 6, so I divide 24 into 60. We'll go 2 times. 2 times 24 is 48. Subtract, you're borrowing. 10 minus 8 is 2. 5 minus 4 is 1. And I bring down the next 0. 24, I'll go into 120. If I don't know, work it out. I'm going to try 5. 5 times 4 is 20. Carry your 2. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 2 is 12. So 120. So that was 5 times. I'm going to write the 5 over the last number I dropped down. 5 times 24 is 120. When I subtract, I get 0. And I have no remainder, but I do have another number that I still need to pull down. So I can't stop yet. So bring down the 0. 24 will go into 0. How many times? 0. And so I'm going to have to use that last 0 because I need something above this last number here. I'm going to put a 0 there, and then you can finish it if you want. 0 times 24 is 0, and then you get 0. Now I can stop because there's nothing to pull down. All right, so my final answer was 250, and I'm remembering, because of this negative, that it's actually a negative 250. All right, so that's dividing decimals. Basically, a couple things to remember. Set it up using first in and last out. And remember, the fox chases the rabbit, so move your decimal point over to get rid of the decimal in your divisor. And then remember to rewrite the problem before you divide. It'll just save you some trouble. Okay, I'll see you soon.